the town that forgot its own name. There's a town somewhere off the map. No one really remembers when it was built or who lived there first. The signs are blank, the roads are faded, and the people move like they're rehearsing something they've long forgotten the meaning of. Every morning they wake up at the same time. They sweep dust from porches that never get dirty. They wave to neighbors whose names they can't recall. And when the sun sets, they all return indoors, closing curtains that face no one. If you listen closely, really listen, you can hear the faint hum of repetition, like the air itself is tired of existing. When I walked through that town, I tried asking a woman what the place was called. She smiled politely and said, "Home." Then her face fell blank, as if the word itself had betrayed her. A moment later, she walked away, as though nothing had happened. I found a library at the end of the road. Every book's title had been erased. The covers smooth, colorless. I opened one anyway, and the pages were full of letters rearranging themselves into sentences I thought I recognized. For a moment, I saw my own name. Then the letters melted back into static. It hit me then. This town wasn't forgotten by the world. It chose to forget itself. To erase memory, pain, history. To start from nothing and stay there. A perfect emptiness, free from regret. But standing in the silence, it didn't feel free. It felt like the air before a scream. I left before nightfall, following a road that didn't lead anywhere marked. When I looked back, the town was gone, swallowed by distance, or maybe by choice. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I think about that place, and I wonder, was it real? Or was it just my mind's way of showing me what forgetting truly looks like? The lantern by the sea. There was a lantern that hung from a crooked pole at the edge of the old pier. Nobody remembered who had put it there, or how long it had been swaying over the seas. But every night, without fail, it flickered to life. Fishermen used to say the lantern burned with a soul inside, someone who never found their way home. On foggy nights, the light would stretch and twist, bending across the surface of the water, as if searching. The ocean never answered. It only breathed, slow and heavy, against the wood. One autumn evening, a man came walking down the pier. He was older, shoulders slumped, coat torn at seams. He stopped under the lantern and looked out over the dark horizon. "Still waiting, huh?" he muttered. "Can't say I blame you." The wind rose, carrying salt and whispers through the gaps in the boards. The man took something from his pocket. A small compass, its needle long rusted still. "You stopped working the day she left," he said, voice breaking into the sea air. "Guess neither of us knew which way to go after all." The lantern swayed gently. For a moment, the flame inside flared bright, not gold, but soft blue, like moonlight filtered through tears. The man stared, feeling the warmth brush across his face. "Maybe you're still looking for her," he said. "Maybe you found her. You just don't know how to leave." He set the compass on the railing. It caught the glow of the lantern, reflecting one tiny spark back at the sea. The man turned and began walking away, boots echoing on the empty planks. Behind him, the lantern dimmed, then flickered once more. A soft farewell, or maybe a thank you. By dawn, the lantern was gone. Only the compass remained, pointing nowhere. The clock that forgot time. There was once a clock that sat on a shelf in a quiet room. Its hands were elegant, its ticking soft and steady, a gentle reminder that time was always moving. But one day, the clock stopped. Not because it was broken, but because it chose to. For years it had watched the world go by. People rushing, lovers parting, promises made and broken, all within the rhythm of its endless ticking. It began to wonder, what would happen if time simply stood still? So it froze. The room fell silent. The people who lived there noticed at first, then didn't. They replaced it with a new clock. Louder, shinier, always on time. And the old clock was left behind, gathering dust in the corner. Yet, even in stillness, it felt peaceful. No more expectations, no more being the measure of everyone else's life. It no longer cared about seconds slipping away, because to it, every moment was eternal. Years later, a child found it again. The clock no longer worked, but its face was beautiful. The child held it close and whispered, "Even if you don't move anymore, you're still perfect." For the first time in a long time, the clock felt something. Not the rush of ticking or the pull of passing hours, but warmth. If you listened closely, you could almost hear it ticking again, not to measure time, but to remember it once mattered. The bridge that waited. At the edge of a quiet valley stood an old wooden bridge. It creaked when the wind blew and swayed when the rain fell, but had always stood strong. Every day, people crossed it without a second thought. Children laughing, travelers humming, lovers holding hands. But one day, the village built a new bridge, wider, safer, faster. And suddenly, no one walked across the old one anymore. Seasons changed, the boards rotted, moss crept between the planks, and the river below whispered stories that no one heard. The old bridge waited. It remembered the footsteps, the light ones, the hurried ones, the ones that lingered halfway across as people watched the sunset. It remembered laughter carried by the wind, promises whispered between two hearts, and the rhythm of life above its weathered boards. Years passed. The old bridge began to crack, just a little, from too many footsteps and not enough care. One day, a traveler, older now, returned to the village. He saw the old bridge, forgotten and gray, and smiled. Without hesitation, he crossed it. The wood groaned beneath him, but it held. Every creak sounded like a sigh of relief, like a heart remembering it could still beat. And for that brief moment, the bridge didn't feel abandoned anymore. It didn't need a crowd or praise or purpose. It just needed one person to remember it was still there. The paper bird. He found the paper bird tucked beneath an old ledger, its wings folded sharp and creased from years of dust and neglect. It wasn't remarkable at first, just a scrap of paper shaped by idle hands. But when he lifted it, he noticed faint writing on its wings, a name, a date, and a single word, fly. He didn't remember folding it. Maybe it was from a different version of him, one who still believed in the idea of flight. Still, he held it carefully, smoothing out the wrinkles, tracing the faded ink until it felt like warmth returning to his fingertips. Outside, the wind moved lazily through the trees. He hesitated, then stepped into the open air and released the bird. For a heartbeat, it only fluttered and stumbled, but then the wind caught it, lifting it higher, carrying it beyond the yard, beyond his sight. He watched until it disappeared, a white flicker swallowed by the sky. And for the first time in a long while, he smiled, not because the bird flew, but because he let it go. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this compilation. Please do leave a like and comment about your thoughts on any of the stories. If you would like to listen to more, do subscribe and look forward to another one. Thank you for watching the video.